Hello, good people. I am Father Barnabas Eicher. I am the chaplain for Catholic Charities here in Denver, Colorado. If you're here in Denver, you'll see me in the nursing homes, in the Catholic shelters, and, well, many different places. I move around quite a bit. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, my office is in the over at Samaritan House in Larimer, downtown Denver. This, well, I'm very new to this. I just started a channel, and this is my room at the Friary. Here I'm right across from Annunciation Parish here in Denver. And tomorrow is the feast of Saints Simon and Jude, and well, Simon, if you recall, Simon was a zealot. He was very passionate for his Jewish faith, the call, and he was very Jewish faith before his call to follow the Lord. The term zealot really refers to a group in first century Judea who were very devoted to following the law of Moses, and they were the ones that were very resistant to the Roman occupation of the Holy Land at the time of Christ. And that pretty much means, if you kind of picture him, that he had very strong nationalistic beliefs, and probably very fervent in his beliefs about getting the Roman Empire, allowing us to worship as we please in the temple, and to restore the kingdom as Moses and the prophets had said it would be, which you can't do if you're under Roman occupation. And if you think about that, he became a follower of the Lord. The way he kind of reminds me of St. Paul. How would you change the heart and mind of someone like Simon the Zealot? Well, it would be a very difficult thing to do. You're not going to do it apart from God's grace. Simon the Zealot was much like St. Paul. Yeah, it's very firm in his beliefs. Had some kind of a moment. He became a very fervent follower of the Lord. And that just goes to testifying to the power of the Lord's grace to change the hearts and the minds of the people. And we're also celebrating St. Jude tomorrow. He's also known as Jude Thaddeus. And he does have a small letter, which we'll talk in the New Testament, which we'll talk about a little bit here. And one of the big themes of St. Jude was his emphasis on perseverance in the face of challenges. And that certainly applies to us today. I mean, challenges to the Christian faith today, of course, different than what they were at the time of St. Jude. But he was very adamant about remaining strong in the faith and being persistent in the faith as well. We don't know nearly as much about Simon the Zealot as we do Jude, but in Jude's book, you have the Epistle of Jude. I'd encourage you to read it. And Jude warns about false teachers or false brethren who had infiltrated the Christian community, and he refers to those individuals as those who pervert the grace of God and deny the lordship of Jesus Christ. So you have some interesting converts coming to the faith, and already you have people misunderstanding the faith, trying to twist it to their own ends, not listening to ones in authority above them. You already have that. Now, Jude doesn't specifically name who these false teachers are, but he gives a good description of them. And after I describe them, truth is, there were quite a few of these people, and in fact existed all the way up to the time of St. Augustine. Now, in Jude's letter, he describes the characteristics of these false teachers. Now, Jude accuses these false teachers of turning the grace of God into a license for immorality. Think about that. How do you turn the grace of God into a license for immorality? I'm saved. I'm filled by the grace of God. I can do what I want. No, that is very much false teaching. They were actually promoting a kind of form of libertinism, and they misinterpreted the gospel message as as an excuse to live in sin. Certainly you don't find that in the Gospels or anywhere else. They also denied Christ as our only Master and Lord. That implies that they either denied the full divinity of Jesus, or they somehow, in some way, well, you would have to deny the full divinity of Jesus in order to reject his authority over your lives. So that was the second part of it as well. Selfish ambition, another example of these false teachers. And he likens this characteristic of these false teachers to individuals from the Old Testament. Cain, for example, Korah, and Balaam, which he describes in his 11th chapter. Cain represents jealousy and murder. Balaam represents greed, and Korah represents rebellion against God's appointed leaders. Okay. So, jealousy, perhaps even murder, creeping its way in. Just right after the death and resurrection of the Lord. Greed is coming in already, and already a rebellion against authority of the church's appointed leaders, which was probably driven by selfish motives within themselves, and that causing division in the church. Truth be told, understand something about church history. Division in the church from the beginning. It really takes a lot of grace and a lot of prayer and a lot of humility in order for Christians to truly, truly come together under the leadership of the church. They were also deceptive and manipulative. Shepherds who feed only themselves, more concerned about their own gain than caring for the spiritual needs of the community. He compares them to waterless clouds and fruitless trees, suggesting that their teachings are devoid of any kind of truth or spiritual nourishment. Arrogance and rejection of authority. False teachers are accused of rejecting authority and speaking evil of celestial beings, that suggests that they were arrogant and possibly taught against apostolic authority, or even celestial beings. What would that time of Christ? Christians, of course, believed in the angels. Time of Christ, the idea that the stars, celestial beings, were the angels themselves, moving the stars, moving the wind. So it's more than likely what Jude is saying is that they're dropping out pieces of the deposit of the faith that they don't particularly want to agree with. So they were against apostolic authority. We don't need angels. Throw out angels. Never mind. Scripture is so full of angels, it's mind-boggling. And so what are they doing? Then they're replacing visions and ideas, with replacing parts of Scripture with their own visions and their own ideas, as if you needed more ideas. There's so much truth and so many ideas in the faith already. And visions. Well, be careful about having visions. Peter had a vision. Paul had visions. Changed people drastically. They're off looking for visions. But they're not open to the Christian, any kind of Christian vision. or any kind of movement in their own hearts and their own minds. And then what St. Jude is also stressing after he describes them, what's wrong with these people? Well, division within the church. If you are a true follower of the Lord, you have perseverance in the faith handed down to you in difficult times. And we are to be missionaries, to go out and preach and teach by our lives, catechism classes we teach, whatever it may be, just witnessing to people. We're all missionaries. We're to be a missionary evangelical people. So you might want to ask yourself, how and in what way, being really honest with yourself, how and what way do I still have some of that false teaching, falseness within me, that false teaching within me? Well, do I have pride? Are there parts of the faith I don't want to accept? Do I respect the leaders of the church? And do I, in humility, accept fullness of the deposit of the faith? Am I in it for my own good, own gain? Exactly how that would happen in this day and age, I'm not entirely sure. But they wanted power in the church so they could teach what they wanted. How and in what way? Unless you're a saint, you probably have some of this in you. And that's something to take up to the Lord in prayer and ask for that renewal of heart and mind so we can be true, really good witnesses of the Lord's love and mercy to others. And I know little about YouTube, but I've been told at the end of these videos what you want to do is ask people to like and subscribe. So if you would like and subscribe, then maybe this short reflection of mine will reach others, and maybe it'll be good, helpful for some others. See you next time.